Warning. This video contains massive spoilers, occasional flashing lights, and stupidity. Please like and subscribe. Let's talk about God of War 3. God of War 3 is my second favorite video game of all time, right behind Final Fantasy X. God of War was introduced to me by my oldest sister. I played it during the day, and when everyone went to sleep, I snuck out of bed and beat the game overnight. I loved it. But my sister was living separate from us at the time, and since it was her game, after I beat it, that was it. She took it back with her, and I was left with Spider-Man 3. Which at the time was the only game that I actually owned. The only game. I should also mention that I did not have a memory card when I got my PS2. Neither myself nor my mom knew about the need for video game saving, and memory cards back in 2008 were a little bit pricey. No way was my mother paying over $20 for an 8MB memory card brand new. She told me to just deal with it instead. So one day, I get some birthday money, and my mom lets me go buy God of War 2 at a GameStop. This was about 2009, so a year after beating the first God of War. I played God of War 2 so many times over, partly because it was one of my very few games on the PS2, but mainly because it was my favorite one of the few that I had at the time. Not having a memory card, every night that I had to turn the PS2 off, I'd have to restart the entire game, so I had to get better and quicker at the game to try and beat it within a day. I learned every nook and every cranny of the game, every secret, memorized the intro QuickTime events, every sequence in the game, all of the boss fight patterns, every puzzle solution burnt into my memory, every difficulty beaten, the lines of dialogue, all of the challenges, and even learn hidden movement tech just by naturally playing through the game. If you mash square whilst evading in any direction, you'll animation cancel and you can keep evading immediately after. And I did this all without the help of any guides or YouTube videos. When I got to play God of War 3, I didn't have to worry about a memory card to save anymore, but regardless, I treated it the same way. I wanted to experience as much of the game as quickly as I could get it. But now that you know the past, let's actually start rambling about God of War 3 now. You know, the point of this video. I mean, for starters, look at this game. This game came out on the PlayStation 3, brother, in 2010. I was still in diapers and being spoon-fed applesauce and playing with my dino nuggies at 10 years old. And yes, it was entirely by choice. This looks like it could have come out at the end of the PS4 life cycle, or at the beginning of the PS5 life cycle. From the pores on his face being visible now, to the chains on his arms actually being part of the model now, to how good this specific statue looks in the rain. That statue looks super fucking wet, man. And wet is good. To the sound effects of the chains actually sounding like chains compared to the first two games. Everything is improved. The weapons are all sick as fuck too, right? It might be a hot take, but the Blades of Exile are so much cooler than the Blades of Chaos or the Blades of Athena. Not necessarily for the movesets, but just in pure design, although I will say the grapple in God of War 3 is way better than the block circle attacks in the first two games. I'm never using this move, even though it did look badass to me as an 8-year-old kid in God of War 1. And in God of War 2, whilst this move does look sick as fuck, 90% of the time you're getting smacked before the animation even gets halfway through. But in God of War 3, when you grapple some poor soul, you are hitting that person regardless on their feelings on the matter. So I was a little bit disappointed when in God of War 2018, somehow, the Blades of Chaos returned instead. Even though Ares took them away, 2 main games prior, and all Kratos had left were the Blades of Exile at the end of 3. I guess it was just for the sake of fire and ice gameplay mechanics, or maybe it was just for pure nostalgia bait. But I'm pretty sure I was pumping flames out of my attacks with the Blades of Exile too, not just with the Blades of Chaos. Almost like there's a combo move called the Plume of Prometheus, was named after the guy. You know, Prometheus, the guy who you burn to a crisp in the fires of Olympus whilst he screams in agonizing pain. Who then gives you the power to set yourself on fire to make you stronger, and the combo move creates a fire plume when you use it too? Nah, it sounds like there's no connection with the name of the move and the guy after all. We'll just retcon the way less cool looking Blades of Chaos back in. Then after the blades, you get your next weapons by bashing the god of the underworld's head in against the ceiling and ripping the weapon straight out of his fucking hands. If you thought the blades were physics defying, then these puppies are gonna rock you out of your fucking socks. It's like Kratos got psychic powers with these things, telling them what to do with his mind. Plus, they can summon one of the most overpowered summons in video game history too? The Olympic archer? Wrap it up. What could possibly beat these weapons? Giant lion head fists. These fucking things are like an extension of Kratos' personality. He hits shit really, really hard all of the time. And what do you know? The Nemean cestus are designed just for that. They're introduced in a way that's just as badass as the origin story of the Blades of Chaos. At least I feel like. Again, it may be another hot take, but you pry them from the hands of fucking Hercules mid-fight and then proceed to punch an entire arena down on top of him and cave his face in with them. You get to watch the transition of his face go from a normal looking man in fear of his life into a freshly made Aunt Jemima pancake covered in strawberry syrup. Delicious. On top of that, they do so much fucking damage. They obliterate trash mobs in only a few hits. I might as well be swinging an air when fighting these guys. I just hit so hard that I go through them. They disintegrate as soon as I touch them. Like a deer on the road getting hit by someone speeding. Except the car doesn't explode with the deer, it's just the deer. And the last weapons are pretty cool too, just not as cool as the Cestus. The Nemesis Whip. They're kind of a way just to give us our token lightning magic that we get in each mainline game, but they have crazy combo potential and look flashy as fuck. And at the end of the day, electric whip blades are cool no matter fucking what. It's just unfortunate that they were outshone by the large metal kitten mittens, large metal kitten mittens, large metal kitten mittens, kitten mittens, kitten mittens, large metal kitten mittens. It's just unfortunate that they were outshone by the large metal kitten mittens that Kratos gets before the whips. But besides the weapons, the atmosphere of the game is the best that it's ever been pre-2018. The only other God of War game that comes close to it in terms of atmosphere is probably God of War Ghost of Sparta, because that game just is dark and gritty and fucking miserable the entire time you play it, which really helps add into that moment of Kratos' life specifically. But that's maybe for another video. It was genius to have the world change as the gods died, letting you see chaos ensuing, making me feel more attached to Kratos as a player because I also wanted to kill the gods just to see how much more fucked up the world would get after the next god dies. I remember brainstorming as a kid whilst playing for the first time, thinking, which god will I get to fight next and how will the world change once they die a horrifically awesome death? You know, normal things to think of as a 10-year-old. Never has killing shit in God of War felt so fluid and impactful. Everything in the newer games just feels so sluggish and grounded, only getting marginally better in Ragnarok compared to 2018. It feels like Kratos is fighting a hernia in the newer games when he swings the Blades of Chaos. It just doesn't feel good. But in God of War 3, it never feels old killing the same enemies, just due to how fun they made it to kill everything. Using the undead army of Hades as a fucking battering ram, watching Kratos kill me as I roleplay as Poseidon but only for the worst part of his life, sucking the soul straight out of the ruler of hell. Pause. Helping out Kratos' grandfather by helping him with his kidney stones and then giving him a sick chin and forehead piercing, massaging Hercules' frontal lobe, then suddenly playing a fucking fighting game for the final boss before also massaging Zeus's frontal lobe until your finger breaks off from mashing the circle button because you just really, really want to make sure that his face is feeling pristine afterwards. It's such an absolute cinema God of War game and just game in general, and I always find myself going back to it every so often. Just so I can get to the part where you fuck Aphrodite and stare at some titties. What, you thought I was gonna leave the best part of the game out of the video?